The anniversary update is only a week away, and this mail-in game has some information about all the anniversary events that are on their way, the Grand Prix Osiris tournament that's about to happen, and a new KvK format that features being able to migrate at a cheaper cost to one of the other kingdoms in your KvK. That actually leaves me with a ton of questions, so let's get started. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and on the 6th of the month, they're going to put this new update in game. The first thing that's going to be in here is a series of events. I mean, a lot of events for the anniversary of Rise of Kingdoms. There's going to be a festival shop, which probably includes a premium currency and a farmable currency. There may or may not be a city theme or a 7k gem event, so I would save up those 7k gems just in case. What I did like seeing here, actually, is the Alliance Quiz. This was incredibly fun. The Alliance Quiz is probably going to arrive just in time for us to be fighting in KvK again, and there's really nothing better than Alliances trying to do the quiz when they're supposed to be fighting. Joking aside, though, this is a very fun event, especially when you have a flag getting rallied and everybody's doing the quiz instead. Sign-in spoils. Sign-in for rewards include exclusive festive rewards. You get a rock yearbook. I'll show you what that looks like at the end of this video if you're newer to the game. The Circus of Wonders is where we get something new, perhaps. Behold, the incredible Circus of Wonders, and win prizes from the amazing Parrot Brothers, Goldane, and Fogsworth. So your kingdom has to be 21 days or older. This I found really interesting. I kind of wonder if they're nerfing jumper groups here. Like, they don't want you to play just when these events land and then migrate to, you know, your final kingdom using your beginner's teleport when the events are over, giving you just like a huge advantage over everybody else who's just starting the game legit. If you want to see everything there is to know about the jumper process, by the way, I'll have a card up in the top. That's the way you get a really wicked start in the game. Festive Delights. Collect recipes to run an outstanding stall in the Market of Nations. I think this is where you're just like collecting different ingredients probably and then making dishes. We've seen that style event for Thanksgiving many times. Treasure Hunt. Use your parchment maps to guide your scouts to hidden treasure. Arms Training. The Arms Master Lohar's on his way back. And the Zenith of Power. And Strange Incidents. And Great Gathering. I mean, there are a shocking number of events. I don't know if we've ever had so many events in a short window. Plan to just be extremely busy. When do I think this will take place? I think typically we see the patch happen and then like a week or two later, maybe these events start to show up. So I would guess probably a week to 2 weeks from the 6th, we see these show up. And about a week after these events start to show up, typically maybe like 5 or 6 days, is when we're going to see the Zenith of Power. So Zenith of Power is probably like 3 weeks away. And by the way, if the city theme is even half decent, I mean, I'm expecting like an Archer City theme here. Please be an Archer City theme, by the way. Then I'm going to train up like 50 million power or more on my main. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You're not going to want to miss that. And if you want to see the last time I trained up for a Zenith of Power, I'll have a card up in the top right over here. I'll remind you of that at the end of the video. So let's get to the next thing in the list here, which is the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix is a tournament taking place. It's a sort of invitational tournament, sort of apply tournament. It's like a little bit of a mix of both. Let me take you to the page that shows you everything there is to know about this. In fact, if you want to be able to see this for yourself, you make your way over to the event screen and you scroll on down to the Anniversary Grand Prix section. This, by the way, is presumably going to have a whole bunch of sort of betting that just like we're used to in Osiris League, but if I smash that registration button, it takes you to the Lilith Esports page. From here, it'll explain how the event works. Now, what I think is really unusual about this event is, first of all, love to see that there's actually a huge prize pool. I mean, they're giving away an iPad Pro and a ring to the winners, which is really cool. I actually think the ring is the really cool thing there. Your rock ring, not that you wear that out on the street, but like, I think it's pretty cool. I actually didn't register for a team. And the reason I didn't register is because I anticipate that I will be casting this event. But the way that registration worked is that there are 4 guest teams: HKL, OV, 60GT, and 1V. This is based on their past performance in Osiris League. Then there are an additional 12 teams that will participate, and players got to register for this. This registration window is already closed, but only the top 12 teams by power actually get to participate. Now, this is really weird because what ended up happening is an extreme power grab. Even people that had no intention of playing whatsoever, if your power was high enough, you were thrown onto a team. So I think there's going to be some really weird stuff that happens here that I think may throw off the competitiveness of this event, although I think there are some teams that are going to be very competitive. The reason I say it could throw off the competitiveness of this event is that you could only register 35 people. And obviously for Ark of Osiris, you need to have 30 people playing. Well, the timing of some of these events is really weird. I mean, the rounds that take place are on I think maybe Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday. And there's some unusual times that don't necessarily work for everyone around the world. So you really needed, I think, more than 5 substitutes in order to get your full team to show up at any time. But if you didn't make the top 12 by power, then you weren't going to play in the tournament. So players made just outrageous sacrifices left and right with who they wanted to register with in order to simply make the top teams by power. This means that some number of these teams are not going to have full teams show up to the matches, I think. We'll see. It means that some number of these teams are playing with each other for the very first time. So who do you think is going to win? The teams that won Osiris League before and got to bring whichever players they wanted, or the teams that had to register by power? I think it's possible these teams that register by power could win, but I think it is highly likely that 60GT or 1V will end up the victor here, and it could be a blowout kind of leading up to that point. I think there are a couple teams that will definitely contest. I think 254 should put up a good contention. I think JST should put up a good contention. There are probably a few other teams in this top 12 that might put up a good contention. I just don't know who they are, but I do look forward to casting this event. This brings us to the new KvK format, and there's stuff I really like about this, and I just have a ton of questions. The Heroic Anthem Treasury of Heroes. This, look, I personally don't like to typically be in the Pioneer group on my main accounts. That's my main account, my restart account, because you never kind of know what's going to happen. And they definitely like to tune the way that the KvK plays after they see the first Pioneer group go through. So I don't know how tuned it will be, but I really like what's here. New Alliance gameplay. Governors can join alliances belonging to any kingdom in their camp and fight alongside them at any time. This actually seems really, really awesome. That is a 10 out of 10, really cool, love to see it. Basically, the way that KvK works today is multiple kingdoms can be in the same war camp when you enter Season of Conquest KvK. In fact, if I just zoom out here, right, we only have one kingdom in our camp, but we could have had many. And in the past, I've had as many as 2 other kingdoms in my war camp. And it was a bummer that you couldn't join the alliance with those other kingdoms. You could only put them in the same coalition as you. Now, being in the same coalition, which is a group of alliances, is pretty close to being in the same alliance. It's not that far off from actually being in the same alliance, but there are certain things that you could never do. You could never be the R4. I don't know if in this new world you'll be able to be R4 or R5. Can you be the leader of an alliance from another kingdom? And then can you delete the alliance? Just asking for a friend. I'm just kind of curious. Anyways, there's a lot of questions I have about the mechanics of joining another alliance and why you would do that. And I think the reason why they're going this extra step of saying, hey, you can actually join another alliance is in part, hopefully, so you can be a title officer and change garrison captains. That I think would be really important. But also because they want you to migrate to some of these other kingdoms. Let me keep going here. New alliance-based Crusader achievement. Complete the requirements to gain amazing rewards. It's they want you to make a super alliance, I guess, which is interesting. If you join the alliance, I guess you get all the alliance gifts. I don't know, man. For a big kingdom, this seems weird. But for smaller kingdoms, for one alliance kingdoms, this could be really interesting to smash people together. I think this is going to create a ton of drama. I think there's going to be a ton of people left behind because there's a new 3-day immigration period. During the immigration period, governors can apply to immigrate to any kingdom in the same lost kingdom as them. upon approval, you can immigrate to the new kingdom at a cost of fewer passport pages compared to the regular immigration. This, to me, I find mind-blowing. There are so many questions that I have. First of all, when is the immigration? Because if the immigration takes place at the start of KvK, that's totally busted. How's that supposed to work? I don't know. It would have to be like before they decide which camps are where. I don't think that this is happening at the start of KvK. I don't think this is happening in the middle of KvK. I think the only time where this makes sense to happen is the end of KvK, right? After things are already decided, after rewards are already decided, maybe you're like, I really want to migrate to that kingdom. And I'm a big fan of decreasing the passport cost to go to where you want to go. I think that's a huge win. But I am really curious about when this takes place. Is it in the 3 days after KvK has ended, but before KvK is shut down? Is that when you can migrate? Or is it sometime after that window where KvK is shut down and then there's a 3-day window? Does this overlap with when everybody else can migrate to the kingdom? Or is this like a separate window? It's like early migration access. And I say early because a big Imperium kingdom is going to ultimately lock. I will say, setting aside the migration questions I have, being able to join any alliance is definitely interesting. And it seems like that's the only thing they're changing. It's like a heroic Anthem KvK, but join any alliance. And I mean, okay. I'm okay with that. I think I would like to see new maps, but we know that a new 3v3 is on the way. The developers have already released information about that in a tweet from the Japanese official Rise of Kingdoms YouTube channel. So if you want to see more information about the future of Rise of Kingdoms and you somehow missed my video because you aren't subscribed, by the way, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have 1,700 videos dedicated to making you a better governor, and I release information as soon as it lands. The card will be over here at the end of the video in just a minute, taking you to the information about new commanders coming into the game and the 3v3 KvK format and ranged combat. We're also really overdue for the release of new leadership commanders. I could have swore they were just waiting to drop them and they were already patched into the game, but given that we've got another patch just around the corner, I think it's all but guaranteed that we'll also see 2 new commanders in the next month or so, probably less. Probably even in the next Mightiest Governor cycle, I would hope we see leadership commanders. If it's not the next one, it'll be the one after that. So be on the lookout for new leadership commanders. I already covered the fact that Joan of Arc Prime was in the design stage. I thought it was in the design stage because it was like maybe going to be in the cycle after this one. But I actually think Joan of Arc Prime probably is one of the 2 commanders that's about to drop. And if you're looking for more information about anniversary events or Zenith of Power, I'll have a card showing up in just a minute over here. I did promise that I would show you the anniversary yearbook. Here it is. The 2021 Rock Yearbook. For a minute, I couldn't find it. I was like, where did it go? The yearbook will just give you a bunch of stats about the stuff that you've done in the game, including how many barbs you've smashed, how many gems you've spent. In fact, I have a dedicated video walking through that. The card will be up in the top. You can check out the full run-through of this yearbook. If you enjoyed the video, throw a like on here, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies.